Hey guys, a warm welcome back to the channel. In today's video, something slightly different. You see, I need your help, your advice, and your brilliant minds to all combine together because we have a crime to solve. You see, $20,000 worth of parts have been stolen from my Ferrari Boxer, but I have faith that together we can solve this one. So grab yourselves a nice cup of brew, put on your favourite crime-fighting superhero cape, get out your Sherlock Holmes hat. I'll give you all of the clues, all of the facts, and together we are going to go and get ourselves some justice. Cheers. Now, back in the summer, I set out on a crazy mission to try and track down a missing Ferrari F40 abandoned somewhere in Iraq. We all went on an amazing adventure together, and despite having very little to go by, literally a couple of photos of a sand-covered F40 left by the side of the road near a rundown fuel station, even with that lack of substantial information, well, we managed to crack that impossible task. Well over 1 million of you got involved, and we not only discovered its movements over the last few years, we also found out that the car is still in Erbil, Iraq. We found the current owner, and well, it's had a lick of paint, but it doesn't really sound too healthy still. So we couldn't save that F40, but we did shortly after discover this car, and I've managed to save it. So today's task is quite an important one. We're on the same kind of mission, and I know we are going to crack this one together.
Well, there isn't any time to waste then, is there?
Now, a couple of weeks ago when I brought you the first video after buying this beautiful Boxer, I said there were some very naughty things that had happened to it over the past 6 months. Well, now is the time to share those details with you. When I originally brought you the story of this amazing treasure Ferrari left sat on a driveway here in UK for the past 12 years, it was clear the car was untouched. And I mean untouched. When I opened the engine lid and we saw for the very first time all of that muck covered engine, it was clear I was the first person for a very, very long time to open it up. And my reaction at the time was simply wow. Now, our first fact here is that the car was no secret. Prior to me putting out that first video on it, it was a well-discussed, well-known car, shared many times over the internet, over social media, and even doing a Google Street Map. You could see this car gradually over the years as it deteriorated. Fact number 2, and you guys can take notes here. The first video I put out on this Ferrari Boxer was on Saturday the 16th of May. Remember that date. I'd filmed the car literally a couple of days earlier and edited this one really quickly. Fact number 3. Now, this is a key bit of evidence. During filming that first video, you saw me go around the car in fine detail. I was alongside Vinny, the owner's neighbour and best friend. He had laughed for years as most people had mistakenly commented about what they thought was a rotting white Toyota MR2 on the driveway. He had practically been the guardian of the Ferrari and informed me that in all of the years, no one had ever touched it. Now, one thing that amazed me was despite the obvious exterior condition of the car, everything was there. It was totally complete, and you all witnessed that in the first video. Also worth noting here is as I went around showing you guys things such as the toolkit or parts of the car, I never once mentioned any of the astronomical prices some of those parts are worth. That was in order to not really draw too much attention to it, and most people would have seen them as just a normal toolkit or a plastic mirror, none of which were actually marked up with Ferrari branding. And of course, for obvious reasons, I never gave away the location of the car, except that it was here somewhere in England. Now, after my initial visit, the owner of the car, who had kindly let me film this and shared some of the amazing stories and the history of this car, sadly he wasn't very well and he needed to go into hospital. Now, I'm not going to go into any personal details. They're completely irrelevant to this case, but there is one fact that I would like to point out, and that was while he was there, the police decided without his permission that this car needed to go into safe storage. Now for me that was a bittersweet decision. On the one hand, I agreed with it. It was nice to have this car safely tucked away in dry storage. On the other hand, the car had spent the last 12 years, in fact 14 years, outside, and it was untouched other than the savage British weather. And so on Tuesday the 19th of May, 3 days after I released my YouTube video, I posted a video on my Instagram channel of the car being removed from the driveway. And for 6 months, that is where the car remained, in storage with the company that took the Ferrari away. And then on the 13th of November, the owner and Vinny got in touch with me and asked me if I would kindly oversee the return of this car from storage. They were concerned that during its removal or during its time spent there, the car might have sustained some kind of bodywork damage. And obviously, having been the last person to really go around this car in any detail, I knew this car better than anyone else. And naturally, like a kid in a candy store, seeing a car like this again, I agreed. So I drove down there early in the morning to witness the car being delivered back, and I videoed it.
Straight out a bit more, yeah. Where was this cap? Was this cap indoors or outdoors?
Capped. First of all, went to our Cheltenham depot.
Yeah.
Capped indoors.
Yeah.
And then it was transferred over to our Hallway depot. And over in the Norwich. Capped indoors.
Yeah. Looks like it's been kept out.
Just where it's been here. That's a neutral, isn't it, on there?
Yeah, it's neutral, mate.
What about this here?
That was there, I think, mate.
Sure.
Yeah, there was a little bit here, I think. There was a bit on the back corner. There was a bit here, Paul. Vinny, there. That's right.
Yeah, I remember that one.
A quick look around the exterior of the car and it appeared as it had done back in May, with the exception of a very expensive broken wing mirror. I advised the driver that I wouldn't sign any delivery paperwork until I had fully inspected the car, just as you would do if you were hiring a car from Hertz. I then checked the inside of the car, the engine area and the front clam storage area, and it was immediately clear items had gone missing since my last visit. Items worth a small fortune. So as you saw, the Ferrari has just been delivered back, but the main thing is all the toolkit from the front here has gone missing. Now, we had a jack kit in there, the Ferrari jack kit. We had all the toolkit I showed you in the last video, and that stuff is worth thousands, literally thousands. It was pristine, as you saw, and now it's gone missing. So everything else, all the cheap stuff that's worthless is still here, but the good stuff has disappeared. Now at this point I want to make it absolutely crystal clear that I am not in any way, shape or form pointing the finger of blame or accusing anybody of wrongdoing here. So that is not the delivery, recovery, storage company, the police or anything like that. I simply want to get to the bottom of this and rule out any possibilities here. So when the car was delivered back, as you saw, I went around the car and I said to the delivery driver, look, there's parts that have gone missing here since my last visit. He then got onto his depot, who said that they were going to come back to either Vinny, the owner, or myself regarding their investigation of this. They had CCTV on this car 24/7, we were told, and they were going to review that. But 6 weeks later, none of us have heard anything back from them. The police have been involved We're still waiting on a crime reference number for this as well. And obviously in the background, I have spoken to some of the specialists that deal with these kind of parts on this car. So let's go around. I'll show you the parts that are missing, or some of the parts that are missing. So if we come to the front of the car, the first thing you notice is that lovely toolkit's gone missing. Now, I'm going to put in some prices of these things secondhand. You can't get most of these, unfortunately, new anymore. Obviously, this is a 1983 car, and the prices of these things, just pick a number out of the sky, basically. So toolkit, all missing, with that nice little case around it. In the front here, we had a jack kit, we had a hammer. We also had a couple of third-party aftermarket things, such as battery charger here. And there's another big red box in the original video. They, funny enough, stayed in the car. So the thieves targeted specific high value, just Ferrari items. Now, the strange thing is, if we come over to my Testarossa here, we have very similar items here. So we've got a toolkit, and we got a jack kit. Now, on the Testarossa, if I remember correctly, these are slightly different. So this is the toolkit on the Testarossa, and let's have a quick look. On the Testarossa, they actually say Ferrari. The crazy thing is, on the BBI, the toolkits don't say Ferrari. So, you know, none of it, even things like the screwdrivers, they're stamped with Ferrari. On the BBI, they haven't got any markings to say Ferrari. These pliers, again, Ferrari. So if someone has taken it just to have a Ferrari toolkit, it's not really much value to anyone. It's only value to people with a BBI. Then we have the jack kit here, a very similar jack kit. Some different things in the BBI again, but similar kind of items, and again a little torch in here that plugs in the car. And then we had a hammer. So this was also in the car. Now, funny enough, this is not an original. This is about £30, and that was left. So whoever stole these parts knew exactly what they were looking for. Now, the other thing was the internal mirror. Now, again, really, really crazy. You can see it's missing from the windscreen up there. And in the video, I put it down by the seat down there. And I even said, I'm going to hide that under the seat. Got the mirror. The mirror's come off, but it goes up there. And not broken. We'll hide that down there. It literally doesn't say anything on it. It doesn't say Ferrari on it. It's very, very similar to the one on this Testarossa. And it just says that. For anyone else, it's worth nothing. On a Fiat or a Lancia, something very similar is like 20 quid. On this, it costs this much. There were also a number of other items stolen from this car at the same time, but I am going to keep that information a close guarded secret, because really, if you guys manage to solve this one, track down some of those parts, this is my trump card, because it will 100% identify that the parts have come from this particular BBI. So for now, I'm going to retain that information. The other bit you need to know is that the thief thought he was clever. He obviously targeted high value Ferrari items. He left the cheap stuff, so he'd done a bit of research, but he must have been in a little bit of a rush, because as he took the bits, certain things were left behind. So the kits are not actually complete. So if he tries to sell them on, then we should be able to identify them again. So where do we go from here, guys? Well, obviously, this could have happened any time between May and November. So are we able to look back at history on things like eBay, on Marketplace, to see what has been sold? You know, that might help us track these things down. Where else can I take this? I am open up to suggestions here, guys. Put them in the comments below. Get your CSI minds on and see what we can come up with together. We solved the F40. We can seriously have a good crack at finding out where these parts are on this car. And don't forget, you know, those parts to somebody else are really not worth too much. You know, they obviously have high value, but to be original on this car would be much nicer. So guys, do your best. In the meantime, I am going to leave that with you while I try and fix this car and get it back on the road. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, guys. I know it's slightly different to the others, and I know I'm putting out a bit of a cry for help to get your minds working on this one. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you very shortly in the next one. Ciao for now.